My name is Chris Rice, and this is my first HiveFest, and it's my first time being in Mexico. So you may not know this, but it took me over 30 hours and 5 connecting flights to be here with you guys today. But we made it. Furthermore, I would say that the idea that someone like me, from such an ordinary and unremarkable background, is presenting with you here today a decentralized application launched in the Philippines, I would say that shows how remarkable, incredible, and how much opportunity there is on the Hive blockchain and in the Hive community. And if any of you have any doubts, I highly recommend you visit my very first post written on the blockchain in 2018. It's immutable. That tells my story, it shows my initial goals, and a lot of it came true on the Hive blockchain. So today, I would like to share how the world needs this technology and the world needs this community. They just don't always know it exists. So we, the D.Buzz team, we're going to be presenting, we're going to be onboarding whole communities, not just users, but one by one. And that's the guerrilla marketing campaign that we're going to have to businesses so that we onboard communities, not just users one by one. But lastly, what I'd like to share before I start the presentation is how we're going to, I'll just start the presentation instead. Okay, so here we have guerrilla marketing. Oh, present here. Okay, so the guerrilla marketing we're going to do, we're going to be targeting 3 types of organizations. 1 is media teams, 2 is local schools, and 3 is hosting companies. And I'll get into it now. And then the media team. By media teams, I'm referring to media industry leaders in the Philippines specifically, who will cover not just D.Buzz, but all legitimate Hive dApps. And we've already started getting news coverage, starting in the Philippines, and also there's a South Korean news site that is starting to work with us. Oh, sorry. And this is Ed Umbao. He's a respected blogging veteran in the Philippines. He's a former co-founder of philnews.ph. And with his work, he made the site from 0 views into 3 million monthly views. And by 2021, it had over 6 million views in a month. So that's what we're doing. We're working with him to have news sites cover us. And we're very fortunate. I actually onboarded him to Hive in, I think, 2018. And now in 2023, he's a very active Hive user. He's published over 25 articles about Hive this year. And that's what I mean about when we connect with people who already have reach, who already have communities, we don't have to get that reach. We don't have to get that community because it already exists. We just need to plug it in. And then here's some of the things that we're doing. Up here, I'm speaking at one of the events. We've actually attended so many events and have been on so many podcasts that I probably couldn't cover in a day with all the pictures and all the videos. But here's some of them. We have a Hive and D.Buzz basketball team. It plays in a private subdivision, so it's pretty cool. And then over here, it's a local celebrity. That's one of the ones that we met. And over here, he's actually one of the leading educators in the Philippines. He founded a company named Bitsquilla, which in English means Bit School. And he's backed by one of the biggest, if not the biggest, telecom companies in the Philippines. And they also have a mobile wallet service, which is integrating crypto. So that's Jiro Bitsquilla. Oh, sorry. And then this is what I mean about tapping into the reach of other people. We've sponsored about 3 or 4 events of Jiro. And we've actually been interviewed by the mainstream media, Nathan and I, about 3 or 4 times. But it hasn't been published. So we're not yet there, but the fact is we're getting there. And I know there's a lot of valid criticism about mainstream media. I understand it, and I know a lot of it is valid. But the truth is, mainstream media in the modern day culture is still a form of recognition and a form of validity, not necessarily true validity, but people accept it as being valid when it's in the mainstream media. So if we would like to onboard the masses, it's okay to also be featured in the mainstream media. And he was on ANC News, which is, it's a local television show in the Philippines. And I'm sure everybody knows about CNN Philippines because it's CNN. And this is Tony Rebamonte, one of the influencers that we're working with. He's gotten over 1 million views on TikTok with the D.Buzz hashtag. And we're working to get more reach. And one of the things that I found out just recently is that in order to scale D.Buzz, we really need our own Hive API. If we would have had our own Hive API a year ago, I'm pretty confident we'd have maybe 1,000 or 2,500 active users because the public Hive APIs, they weren't enough for us. So in about 2 to 3 days, our own Hive API will be done syncing. And then once we have that, I'm pretty sure you guys will see our numbers increase significantly. Okay, and these are just some of the other events that we attended. I think she was involved in the press for the FIBA World Cup, and this is Ken Birds. He's one of our marketing consultants. He's got a lot of connections in the crypto industry because people see him as a marketer, a reputable marketer in the Philippines, especially in Mindanao. And he's an ambassador of multiple crypto organizations. And that's Ed there. And we have a few more that I'll just give you a sneak preview about us. This is actually, there's actually 2 Hive Philippines groups. One is in the Manila and maybe the northern area of the Philippines, and the other one is the southern area of the Philippines. But I'm working to unite the whole Philippines so that we work together for the benefit of not just Hive users and not just Hive dApps and stakeholders, but society at large, because Hive is good for society, it's good for people, especially when the founders are interested in continuing that legacy. And this is Romeski. She's very affluent. She's popular in the Hive Philippines community from the northern end. And you can see Nathan was interviewed here at a shopping mall event, at a crypto shopping mall event. So you can see we're very active, we're consistently meeting new people, and it's just difficult to share with everybody all the good work that we're doing because we're busy working. Okay. And you can see Giro, this is another crypto event. Now these are more Hive Philippine users. I haven't met them in person because I wasn't at that specific event. But these are users, Hive users that I hadn't met yet that weren't part of our southern group. But they came and joined and met Nathan and other members of our group. All of these events I'm showing you, except maybe the Cebu one, I was present. But every single one, our D.Buzz team was present, and we were given time to speak. Now, the next community that we're going to work to onboard is local schools. And some of this is with the value plan, where they're going to be sponsoring school supplies. And my idea is to have 3 tiers. The third tier school will be basically charity. We're not looking to, onboard them to Hive necessarily because they're impoverished. But the school supplies will be providing, they will have the Hive logo on it. But the tier 3 schools, we're basically doing it for charity, for philanthropic purposes. Kind of like the bore wells, the water wells in Ghana, Africa. Then the tier 2 schools are schools that maybe upper end public schools, some of them might be private. And what we're doing is, in addition to providing them school supplies, we're also going to be providing them free mentorship in software development, in SEO, and article writing. And we have members of our team more than capable of doing that. And then the tier 1 schools, it will be the private, like the international schools in Davao City, that their parents, the children of, or the parents of those youth are interested in them not getting jobs, but starting businesses. And I'm going to be recommending that we onboard new, young youth businessmen to the Hive blockchain. And the idea is that by working and partnering with local schools, we're essentially having Hive schools without having to start the school. So I'll go to the next one. And this is, I think, the second school that we contacted, and we actually made this website. And they were just, they were originally using a .weebly domain. So I just, spun up a WordPress.com domain, and the staff was just completely blown away. And for something that seems so minuscule to me, maybe $10, and I already had the WordPress web hosting, I was so blown away about how enthusiastic they were to partner with us. And I'm planning on trying to do a press event that will be covered in the mainstream media on December 15th. And they said we'll have a ceremony for the gift giving, the donations. But just because the teachers need assistance with IT, that doesn't necessarily mean the students do. Because the students are very affluent with social media. They're interested in being video creators, content creators, very appropriate for the Hive community. And let's all remember, the rumor is Facebook, the Web2 platform, supposedly started on campuses. And I think onboarding campuses is very appropriate. And this school actually has 3,000 students a year. So the staff has already made it clear that they're very interested in us training, mentoring, and onboarding the students. So in addition to 3,000 students, that's 500 new potential Hive users every year. And you might be surprised, but this might be a small school. Just around the block, maybe a 10-minute or 15-minute drive, there's 14,000 student school. So if you would like to onboard the masses, definitely Vietnam or the Philippines and target campuses. We're initially targeting high schools just because it was a little bit of a coincidence, but they're also very enthusiastic. But the next step will be international high schools and college campuses, which some education leaders for Web3 are already doing that. But they don't have the products. Hive has got the products, so we have an advantage. And not only do we have an advantage, but we can also partner with existing communities. You can see that's the principal of the school. That's the IT director of the school. Here's some of the staff. And that's Roops. He's the founder of Devout DeFi, who I also onboarded to D.Buzz and to Hive. And the reception rate is significantly higher than prior years. Almost everybody in the Philippines, especially the youth, knows about crypto, and they're starting to know really strongly about Hive. And the next one, this one we haven't really started on yet, but it is what I'm looking for. I'm interested in making D.Buzz easy to use, easy to install, and easy to duplicate. And one example of that is how Linux and WordPress are both open source. And eventually, I won't be targeting the GoDaddies of web hosting, but I will be targeting the smaller web hosting companies to have D.Buzz as a product on their site so that their clients can install it as easy as they install WordPress. And the idea is that D.Buzz can be the WordPress of social media, or better yet, Hive can be the WordPress of social media, and D.Buzz will be a theme. And I was very interested in having a strong speech, but I'm still practicing. I'm still getting better. Over time, I'm sure I'll be even better than I am now in the future, but there is more. And did any of you know, I mean, I know some of you knew, did you know that Hive was featured in a book written by the founder of Ethereum? How many people, you got hands? How many people knew that Hive was featured in a book? Not that many? Are you serious? Okay, well, you could see we were fortunate enough to have our DApp on a logo. 3 speakers there, Peak D is there. This is a real book you can buy on Amazon, written by Vitalik himself. But that's not the most interesting part. Members of our team have actually been in contact with Vitalik. That's what's next. And you can see Nathan here early. I don't know how early, but it was before I met Nathan. He met Vitalik once. And you can see him sitting with Vitalik. Maybe Vitalik looks a little bit younger there. I'm not sure. The one I told you about, Ken Bird's one of our consultants, we have a video of him on 3Speak on the D.Buzz account at our office. And what I encouraged him, I said, Ken, because a lot of people in the crypto industry respect him, especially in the Philippines and Asia. I said, can you get, we're about to have light accounts through our lead dev and the 3Speak developer, Vaultec. We're soon to release light accounts. Can you help us onboard the Ethereum community? And you could go to our D.Buzz account on 3Speak and see the video where I'm talking to him. And he said, why would I onboard Ethereum users when I can onboard Vitalik? And I'm not saying it's going to happen, but a week later, this is only 2 or 3 weeks ago, He's in an island off the Philippines called Palau or something like that. And the next step, we're working to bring him to the Philippines. And from what I've heard, you know, you guys have to confirm, from what I heard, the Philippines is in the top 3 of MetaMask installs in the world as a country. So that is something to be worth considering. Do not ignore the Philippines. Do not ignore Vietnam and a lot of Asian countries. They have people power, they have the users, they have the interest, and that's what we're doing. We're working to onboard them. Okay. And this is just a short demo. You guys could actually probably try it yourself. The way that it works, it's not fully complete yet. The posting doesn't work, but other features do. If you go to lite.d.buzz, it should work where, can you start the video, please? Yeah, maybe play the video. Yeah, it's gonna play. This is actually logging in through MetaMask. And you can see we're using Wallet Connect, because what's very important is to not only have it work on desktops, it has to work on mobile phones, and it's going to. So this is, in addition to onboarding news agencies, news organizations, local schools, we're also eventually going to make a very strong push to onboard Ethereum users, which is a low-hanging fruit because they're already in crypto. So that's there. You guys can try it yourself. And this last video, I'm going to show just a little bit of what Nathan and I do as we tour not just the Philippines, but the world, to share the good news that the #1 blockchain, social media blockchain in the world, it already exists. It's called Hive. Okay, next slide. Yeah. Okay, you can play this. Make sure the volume is there. You got maybe rewind and turn the volume up. Yeah. Yeah. No audio. Yeah, you gotta turn the audio up. Let's see. Okay, so while they get that going, does anybody have any questions? Maybe, okay, you go ahead. Starkers. Okay. Yes. What you saw before was a successful login using MetaMask and Ethereum. And a lot of people use Brave, and Brave has their own built-in wallet, so it will also work. Yeah. We were targeting to have it released on time for HiveFest, but we just missed it possibly by maybe a week or 5 days. But we did release a brand new user interface for mobile. So if those of you haven't used D.Buzz in maybe 3 months or 6 months, it's completely new. Much more minimalistic, more intuitive, more simple, and a great user experience. So that's D.Buzz, the first microblogging platform built on Hive in the year 2000, and we've been developing ever since full time. So let's see if this works. I guess I could speak. For me, 2 of the key strong points about Web3 is 1, Web3 is open source, and it should be. What that means is that anyone is free to copy the software, duplicate it, and build out their own products. And Hive, with dApps like D.Buzz, we're leading the way to break up the monopolies so that hundreds and someday thousands of Web3 social media platforms can work together to break apart the monopolies and replace them. But it won't be new monopolies that replace them. It will be a lot of smaller projects that work compatible with one another. And another thing, that's 2 things, open source and interoperable, which means that they could work together. So potentially everyone here someday could have their own social network and they could all work together and be visible on each other's sites. That's the vision of Web3, and that's what Hive is doing, and that's why some people say Hive is Web3, and I'm one of them.
I would just like to say one thing on one of the big issues that we have with Facebook, beyond just the censoring, is that they, with the introduction of AI, which AI has been in development for many years, over 10 years ago, we've seen IBM Watson winning Jeopardy, And these companies have had access to these AI tools for much longer than we have. And corporations like Facebook have employed these AIs to build a feed in your social media that generates the biggest amount of a dopamine release to you, which is like a drug. They are giving you a drug. Instead of an organic, natural feed of information of what your friends are actually doing, they are actively trying to manipulate your opinion on things. They're actively feeding you a dopamine to keep you hooked to your phone in zombie state. And Web3 intends on giving people an alternative to that. So you can get off of the cocaine and come join Web3 and D.Buzz.
Okay, so it's about getting off the cocaine-rigged algorithms. Maybe pause this.
For me,
Yeah, maybe pause this. So another thing that I would like to add is that through the help of the Hive Development Fund, this December 15th, we are scheduled to completely open source all of our code, all of our Hive-related code to the community. So that means that anybody here with limited dev experience will be able to have their own instance of D.Buzz. And what I like to say is that with Hive, there are real projects, real people, and cutting-edge technology. The world needs this technology. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you, everybody. Any questions? Good?
Wow.
Okay.
So you are living for it, you are doing it, and you are exactly explaining that you found the spot to grow this.
Yes, the thing about Hive, you know, a lot of people say that Hive isn't about only earning, but the fact is that, you know, earning is an aspect. So for Filipinos in our community, I don't emphasize on earning, but I say that it's there. So what I teach people is, you know, learning and earning without the need to invest, unless you're a professional. But it's on them to determine if they're a professional investor or not. And that you know, it's a little bit better than the I'm not a financial advisor wink kind of thing.
Yeah. Are there any questions for Chris?
Yeah, you can.
Starkers.
Starkers, go ahead.
I'm just super interested in seeing this technology with the off-chain system, the logging in Ethereum. So I've seen other applications where you're logging in Ethereum.
Yes.
This is effectively logging in ETH and posting.
On IPFS.
So you're logging in with your ETH address via MetaMask, and you're posting to the chain with that address effectively. I mean, it's an association, but the ETH user feels that experience, right?
Yes, and we already have version 1, or we released pre-version 2. So the pre-version 2, it's version 2, which means that the Ethereum and the Hive posts will mesh with each other appropriately, so that based on it'll be in the proper order, the MetaMask, Hive, like it will work perfectly just as if it was one platform. But the next phase is going to be after we're done with version 2, where every function works, we're going to be adding binding accounts so that you could bind your Ethereum account with your Hive account so that it doesn't matter which one you log in, all the posts from both accounts will be displayed on your profile page. And the same as in the feed. And then the third phase will be when we add other login methods. After Ethereum, we're probably going to choose email. And that's just because, you know, that's the easiest onboarding. But we'll be using magic links, where if anybody has access to their email account, all they have to do is click sign in with email, and it will email them, and then they just use D.Buzz. And we're going to have it where, number one, it's open source, so other platforms, through the help of 3Speak and the work that we do at D.Buzz, all other platforms will be able to use this technology, not just D.Buzz.
Can I just so this is the Speak Network Union Indexer technology implemented
Yes,
into D.Buzz?
it is.
That's
And
amazing
the
to
people
see.
who are working on this most heavily is Vaultec from 3Speak and our lead dev on D.Buzz. And if it wasn't for the high proposal funding, we would not have been able to do the work we're doing. And that is, if anybody's wondering what the delay was, it was due to lack of funds and lack of resources. But now that we're empowered, we're moving full throttle, and we're going to get the job done, and we're almost there.
And I guess we're all looking forward to this.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Any more questions? Yes.
Go ahead.
Marky Giles. So if I am running another front end, what would it look like to incorporate that? Is it just like a library that I would add in, or are there dependencies to utilize this in other front ends?
Okay, so I'm not the developer. I basically manage what happens, but Vaultec is probably the best one to answer. Well, Vaultec is here. He can answer.
Yeah, so you'd use the GraphQL, so that's typical like GraphQL Apollo, those kind of Web 2 type libraries, and then you'd use the Speak Graph Client, which allows you to then, you'd handle the login on your end, and then you'd actually be able to use that library to then make the posts. So it's basically just a library that you could create posts, comments, and all that, similar to what you do with your standard Hive.js in the front end. Yeah, and it's all off-chain and through your Ethereum account.
That sounds awesome.
Cool, good.